Hi everybody, Stuff and Things here. Today I want to talk about my favorite trick on a skateboard. Now it's no big secret or anything, I really like heel flips. Heel flip is probably my favorite trick. And as I got back on the board recently and started doing heel flips again, there was just a certain feeling about landing a heel flip. And I started to think, why does a heel flip feel so good? What is it about it that makes it so that I like it so much and so much more than a lot of other tricks? And what is it that makes it so that I can just keep doing heel flips and they keep feeling good and keep being so enjoyable? And as we get started, I'm looking at this through the lens of skateboarding. Whether you do a different kind of discipline like inline skating, BMX, snowboarding, any other kind of thing where you're doing tricks and that's what's motivating and fun, I think there's going to be a lot of things in common no matter what your discipline is. As I got started with this idea, I reached out on Instagram to find out why other people like a trick that they would call their favorite trick and what is it about that trick that makes it so that it's your favorite. I got some good responses and it gave me a good amount of things to think about, and I want to use some of those things here, but also in some future videos as well. And so that you know a little bit more about me and my approach to this, I'm pretty analytical and I like to break things down into pieces that I can understand and digest. So I'm breaking down what it is about a skateboard trick that I think makes it so that it might become your favorite. So after a lot of thought, I think there's three categories for me that I can break tricks down into: difficulty, consistency, and proficiency. So let's talk about difficulty. If a trick is easy, I don't think it's going to become your favorite. It's just something that you kind of do. But if a trick is really difficult, I also think it won't be your favorite because it's too difficult to do on a regular basis. Somewhere in that middle zone where it's challenging, but not so challenging that you can't do it, I think is the right spot. Then there's consistency. How often can you do the trick successfully? Is it 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100, or something in kind of like a 50% type of range? And last, proficiency. I don't think it's enough that you can just do the trick and just kind of barely do it. I think there's a certain amount of proficiency. How good are you at actually executing the trick? Now, I think I'm generally on the right track with these things because this graphic came from my wife. When I was telling her about my idea for this video, she said, "Oh, that's a theory that's already out there having to do with things like risk management." So, risk compared to competence and skill can give you this range of things, but when you get that right blend right in the middle, you get that innovation zone. And I was like, that's kind of the same thing. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of examples. I like, as a trick, a nollie front shove. For me, that's not really all that difficult. I'm fairly consistent with it, and my proficiency of doing it well with some pop and making it look good, sometimes I can do it okay, so it's kind of in the middle. But this isn't my favorite trick because of the mismatch of those bars. With it being kind of easy and me being able to do it consistently, I don't think we hit that sweet spot yet to find a favorite. But because I love doing this trick out of a nose manual, suddenly that kind of ups the stakes a little bit, and this becomes one of my favorites, but not quite as high as the heel flip for me. Next, another thing that I really like is a backside board slide on a flat bar. For me, not all that difficult. I'm fairly consistent, and I think I can execute them fairly well also. This is one of those tricks that every time I do one and I roll away pretty clean, feels really good. Just gives you those good feelings. But I think it's still not my absolute favorite. And I think it might be that it's not quite enough challenge to just do a backside board slide and call that my favorite trick. Now let's look at kind of the opposite end of things. For me, a kickflip. This is a trick for me that I can do, but it's still quite difficult. And I'm also not very consistent. And if I do get one, it's not very good. I can't pop these very well, and I just don't feel like I really have the best grasp of a kickflip yet. So it's definitely not my favorite. But because they're hard for me, getting a kickflip is quite satisfying, but I still think I can't call it my favorite. And finally, let's look at the heel flip and look at how the bars are fairly well matched on this trick. The difficulty, it still is a little bit of a challenge for me. I can't get one every time, and that goes into consistency. And then proficiency, this is a trick that finally I'm feeling like I can actually use it in other places and get some pop on it and make it look a little bit better than some of my other tricks. And even recently on the snow skate, I've started getting some heel flips back again, and with a little bit more pop than I used to have before, just because the trick is getting better and better for me all the time. And I think I said early on, it doesn't seem to matter how many times I do a heel flip, but when I get one that's nice and clean, land on the bolts, roll away, especially if I can get one without any tic tacs or weird wobbles or anything, it is just the best feeling. There's just something special about it. And so please let me know in the comments what your favorite trick is and why you think it's your favorite. And if you want to use my bars on my 3 categories there, that'd be great. I'd love to see what you come up with and what you think. So if you want to rate yourself on those 3 categories, difficulty, consistency, and proficiency, and do like a 1 to 10 thing or something like that, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see it. And I think there's a lot more that we could talk about our favorite tricks and how that makes us feel and why it's our favorite trick. And so in the next couple of weeks, I hope to expand on this and continue this as kind of a little video series. And if you stuck with me and made it all the way to the end of the video and up to this point, thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.